Sweet and Peachy.
Hi and welcome to this week's Sweet and Peachy with me, Lizzie.
And me, Lee, leading the Sweet Life and Foodie Book Club.
This week we're talking about fetishes.
So excited. Why are we both so excited about this one?
It probably says quite a lot about who we are. So we'll start off, Lee, what is a fetish?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of people think fetishes are just sexual, and I think that's where we're going to be going in this sort of thing, just to make it a bit fun. But a fetish is, I know, well, I am. I don't know about you. Just go with it. But it's just an attraction to something, right? That is not necessarily sexual, but it can be seen as sexual. That's the part of the sort of description we're going to be working on today. So that thing. So things like feet. I'll just stop there. Feet. Exactly.
Like baby's feet are so cute, like little jelly bean toes, but grown-up feet are just like, what?
Can you work in a shoe shop? No. I'd be vomiting like that. I couldn't do that.
No. You've only got like the crusty bits and...
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean?
Oh God, don't. But you can have lots of different fetishes. So something that is, they just transfer it to something that's sexual in nature. So like to objects or people, things. I have to mention this thing, which I read about, and it just thinking about it makes me mention Josh, right? And he'll go, yeah. I said to Gavin, have you heard of this? It's sliding a metal rod into the urethra.
And a man or a woman?
Man.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
I said that to Gavin. He went, why are you saying that? It was like this. Exactly, right? That's actually now seen as a sexual fetish, right? So you go to, you're going into
torture. Like, I'm pretty sure that was something the Tudors did.
Oh God, don't. Yeah, listen, I can tell
Where have you hidden your Catholic or Protestant literature?
Well, remind me to tell you further into this. There's something I want to tell you about. That's absolutely true, and I shall tell you for why in a bit. But yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But what is it? What is it that makes it? Do you think fetish, sexual fetish?
I don't know. I mean, I think, like you say, I think it's massively become associated with like a sexual nature, particularly in the last maybe like 10, 20 years. We've seen all sorts of stuff come out, like sploshing, which is like literally throwing food around. And I can see why that's a thing, because yes. I love food. I want to waste it, like spreading it on people. But they literally just throw cakes at each other and pies, and they don't even sit and eat it. It's just the mess, which I find very odd. But obviously there's the whole furry movement.
I'm stumped with all these things, because some of them I think, and I don't want to be judgmental, right? I am, and I hate myself for it in a bit, because I want to say this. Actually, I can truly, honestly say that I was trained to be judgmental. I mean, as an ex-therapist, that's what you trained to do, right? And they're going to kill me, but you trained to be judgmental so that you don't not judgmental in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I can do it professionally, right? judge people, but do you not want to be judgmental? Because I think each to their own. However, when you yes, why? That's the question, isn't it? Why? What makes?
What I want to know is, if someone who's got like a furry fetish, do they look at a dog or a cat and be like, oh, that's hot? Like, do you know what I mean? Wait, what is it about it that makes them want to wear this furry mask or bodysuit? Or sometimes it's just, I mean, I'll be very honest. In my weekly emails from Love Honey, there is often
Love Honey.
Very well.
Love Honey.
It's a bit like Ann Summers.
I need to get on.
Very good. There was, and we did have a good giggle about this, my other half and I, butt plugs with foxtails attached. Why though? It's just...
Well, it goes into the whole furry thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But for us, as I say, obviously us clearly not being into that, we couldn't understand why that would be a more attractive option than just a regular butt plug.
Well, I can sort of answer that without, only... like a tamper. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Guys,
We need to get back on track quickly.
anyway, the whole fairy tale thing, because people who get dressed up in fur costumes is what I read. You know, when they go to these huge, big places where they all meet, and it's like comic, not an orgy. How you just? Oh no, they go to the huge meetings with like where the comic people go and all that sort of thing.
Like Comic-Con and
yes, furry con, okay. And actually, most of them, even though they like getting dressed up, most of them will be happy with a tail. And the tails are supposed to be not sexual. Somebody's going to tell me the truth of this. Please write in, make a comment, and put us right about this. But this is what I read, that the tails aren't necessarily sexual. However, now you're saying that with a butt plug with a tail on it.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
That's like, also, how do you clean that? But moving swiftly on.
Hand washable.
So we move on from furries to BDSM, but like you were just mentioning with cosplay, is that a fetish? You know, obviously we've got this massive thing, or certain kind of segments of the community have got this big thing about dressing up as cartoon characters and Marvel and DC heroes and everything else. So is that a fetish, or is that just an interest? At what point does it become a fetish?
That's the interesting thing, because, you know, hands up, I've done a bit of dressing up in my youth, and, you know, maybe ago, but who doesn't like a bit of role play? And there's nothing. Stop! Get that look off. Get that look off your face, girl. But there's nothing wrong with a bit of fantasy play. I think it's really, really good. You know, it's not that, I don't feel like it's because sexual relationships get boring. I feel it's the other way, in that sexual relationships get more comfortable, and you can have a bit of fun with it. You can laugh. I think when you end up having sex with somebody you love and you get to the point where you can laugh at each other, that's when I think it's real.
I mean, there is sometimes the odd uncomfortable noise that happens and things like that, and you're just like, oh my god. And if you're at the beginning of a relationship, that is mortifying. Whereas you get a bit further down the line and you're like, oh, sorry about that. Just carry on.
And that's the point where most people get their costumes out, you know, and things like that. I mean, I've only ever done this sort of like, you know, nursey thingy, whatever. I have done a little bit of bondage.
Oh, Mr. G.
Gavin. Oh, he's going to kill the life out of me.
Just don't tell him we've done this.
No, oh yeah, like he doesn't watch it, right? No, but also, can I just divert to the thing I want to tell you before it goes out my head, before we move on, right? So in my youth, when I was studying for, you know, I had to do this piece for the psychology thing, and I had to go and talk to some ladies of the night. Okay, which was absolutely brilliant. It was the first time I ever had a feel of some fake boobs. Honestly, she was going, "Look at my boyfriend bought me." I'm like, fabulous, right? I was going. It was great, because it was way before fake boobs were like, you know, the thing.
It wasn't mainstream.
It wasn't mainstream. I think, God, that shit. I've done it in Kardashian. I've done it again. Put them up again. Anyway, so one of them said, I was talking about fetishes in that sort of area, because in that sort of area, what we think is a fetish, which is interesting, isn't it? They don't think of it so much of a fetish, because to them, it's normal. It's normal activity, right? And that's another thing we need to say. What is normal to one person is not normal to another, and vice versa.
Yeah. I think that's where you get, you know, obviously, I think kind of cultural hits like 50 Shades of Grey, for example, really brought that to the fore, because everyone was like, oh my god, BDSM. But actually there's been a huge rise to the point where, and I hark back to Love Honey, obviously other brands are available, where, you know, they've got a whole range of Mr. Grey products that are like various vibrators and handcuffs and whatever else, and bondage kits and everything, which I'm sure they existed, but they wouldn't have been as widely marketed before the whole, you know, trilogy of books came out. And I mean, they were just a load of crap, weren't they? Really.
I didn't even read them.
It started out as Twilight fan fiction and became something wholly different, which is where you get the whole submissive, because obviously Bella in Twilight is quite submissive to whatever his name is. Jacob's the werewolf, isn't he? Whatever he's called, anyway, the vampire. I do own them all on DVD. Twilight, that is, not 50 Shades. And I'm not allowed to watch them anymore because Josh is just like, they're a load of shit.
was a good shit, isn't it?
It is. And when it came out, I was in a period of my life where I was just like, I just love a good love story. And like, oh. And now I watch it and I'm like, she literally has 3 expressions, which are like, and like, she's a rubbish actress. She has no expression. She could be happy, she could be sad, she could be scared, she could be screaming, she could be crying. She's the same.
Same one. And she's a star.
I know. And then there was the whole kind of like scandal around when she was in Snow White and she slept with the director, and obviously he was married to one of the lead actresses, and must have been that 50 Shades effect, I tell you.
Just tell you about that thing about the prostitute, sorry, ladies of the night, and I love these ladies, but I want to tell you about the fetish. And if you don't want to listen to it, please block your ears now to anybody who's listening to this, watching this, and also please subscribe, because I keep telling people to subscribe. Yeah. Okay, so the thing that she the thing that she told me, right, was that there was the one guy, there was one guy who wanted 2 of them, okay, and they used to ring up in the morning, this guy, and say, I'm coming at X amount, what time, right? And 2 of them had to keep all of the condoms throughout the day they'd used filled, right? So they'd get filled, I don't know exactly, right, filled. And what he needed to do was, he lay down on the bed naked, and he had like a blanket on a table next to him, and they had to lay all the full condoms used on the table, and he masturbated, and they just stood there, and then he drank the condoms. Oh. Yeah, and that's how he got off, right? Now,
it is, or where they've been. Like, the whole point of using a condom is that it's safe.
Exactly. Well, they loved it because they didn't have to touch him, so they just got like shitloads of money, because they got double whammy because there was 2 of them.
No,
Right? They loved him when he called them. But even to these ladies who saw a lot, there was also one more story, and I apologise, where some guy used to come in, and he never used to do it, but start to hammer a nail into the foreskin. He never actually used to complete it because he was done by that. He was just trying to hammer.
I've even got one and it hurts.
That's my point, right? Like, we're just making what is good for one is not good for the other. And that's fine.
And I mean, I'm not sure that's actually physically good for anyone, because, you kind of need that.
It's also, like you say, this is used. These are being used. Okay, you can listen again now and stop, but, oh, God, I just had to tell you that one. So. Okay.
So we move on. So it sounds as though you own some outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a drawer or a cupboard? Or...
Let's go now, because I'm at that hospital stage where maybe about it, I can still get my leg fairly high, but sometimes I need a bit of crane to get it down again. No, I'm joking. I'm quite limber.
They're doing 40 in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I do own a few. Don't use as many as need to. I think now, oh gosh, I don't want to say anything. I just want to say that we do have regular. I'm trying not to say as much because I know he's going to watch. I love my husband very much, Gavin, and he's good.
Go on, Mr. G.
That's good. Okay. Enough, right? So we do have a lot of love making, but less so in the dressing up department.
Fair enough.
At that point, we go, yeah, let's on the settee, on the thing, and sometimes you don't have time to go and dress up.
Sometimes it's just like when it's available. Like, I'm not going to lie. We took the dog for a walk last night, and we were like, we're home alone for 5 minutes.
Another fact, isn't it? What makes it, is that a fetish though? Because it's quick sex, and some people will go, outside quick sex. But is it a fetish or just convenience?
It's convenience, honestly, because as I was saying to you earlier on, she doesn't like to go to bed early. We do, because we're always knackered because we work so hard. And you're just like, I just need to sleep. I'm really sorry. So actually, at like 7 o'clock at night, when she offers to take the dogs for a walk, you're like, yes, do that.
Can we just say here that she's not a 2-year-old?
And we
Yeah.
live on a very safe, quiet estate. She doesn't go on any roads. It's just
Because you know, it's the cul-de-sac and she knows everybody in the street and everybody looks out the window. She's very safe.
100%. And she has a phone with her. So, you know, it's fine. And she will ring me about 8 times on one dog walk, which could be quite good. So she did tell me off for not answering the phone quickly enough. And
somebody with you, that's just God. Did you know that? So, but I did this thing on killing kittens. I mean, that's the name of a site, like killing kittens.
Didn't dare look at it when. No. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has looked at it, but it sounded a little bit dark.
You know what it says actually? What it is a site that is for females who want to party, like hen nights, stag nights, and all that sort of thing. But they have a slight edgy side to it, so it's not like sex parties. It is like just a bit with maybe a stripper or a few dildos in the corner. I don't know, something like that. Straws with penises on them.
I'm not being funny, but I've got my hen do next year, and my mother-in-law is coming. We will not be sharing dildos.
Sharing dildos
out there.
No,
I'm not severely, but not like that. I knew this was going to be a really dark episode.
Oh God!
Kittens.
Killing kittens. So the list. And I'm going to read this because my memory's bad. Okay. So the top 9, for some reason I'm reading it on 9, right? Of sexual fetishes. Okay. Right. Top 1 is bondage, discipline, dominance, submissive, sadism, masochism. Well, exhibitionism number 2, restraints number 3. I'm not quite sure why 3 and 1 are different. Restraints and anyway.
Maybe restraints is just a bit more tame. Like BDSM has that whole kind of like dark gimp mask sort of abuse, but like consensual abuse.
Okay, so
it could just be like a little handcuff. I don't know.
Having said that, best film I ever saw like that, and I saw by mistake, was The Secretary. You got to see that; it's really nice. It was. Somebody told me it was really good, but didn't tell me what it was about. And actually, it's a really soft S&M thing.
Lovely.
Yeah, but with these really big stars in it. Actually, it's not like it's quite a love story. It's very interesting. Anyway, so number 4, group sex, which I'm not going to go for because I don't want people to laugh at me. Latex, shihabri rope, which is an Asian bondage rope. Again, I had to look that up because I'm so behind the times.
I've never heard of it.
What's wrong with a scarf?
Yeah, and so something that doesn't hurt, like a tie, or
But can I just say, I think these people are just categorized to make the category longer. They just separated some. You know what I mean?
Because it's like to be straight.
Yeah, right. Voyeurism. Yeah. That's otherwise. Why would people? Well, why would people?
I don't think I'd feel comfortable watching someone else have sex.
Like,
I'm not even comfortable with the idea of strippers.
Oh no, I can't stand a stripper.
No, like even genuinely, like I keep harking back to it, but my hen do's next year, and the first thing I said to my maid of honour was, pretty much anything goes, but no strippers.
I can't stand.
And she was like, "Oh, fine."
I'm fine. Once they take the top off, I'm fine with that. Keep the trousers on.
I don't want to see that.
I don't want any dangly bits. You know what I mean? What makes you think? I don't want to bite anything off that somebody's. No, thank you.
No, it's not my bag at all. Like I am very much a one-man woman. I don't want to look at anyone else's. Like, no.
Well, the next one is leather. Threesome. That's the other one. So
again, that is something that really I find hard to get my head around. I think because in my head I've got such a monogamous kind of like. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, that is just. Can't understand how it can work. I mean, it clearly does, and some people have thruples and they're really happy and whatever. But for me, that's no. Like we've had discussions in the house about like people we know that have relationship breakdowns from cheating and whatever else. It's like, but how do you do that? Like, how does that happen? Because to me, if ever I got to the point where I was that unhappy in the relationship, I would end it before anything happened with anyone else. There's nothing else. It's just basic respect. Whereas I don't understand people that can just go and have numerous other physical relationships, because I've been on the receiving end of that, and that's been horrible.
It's not.
And I would never do that to someone else.
Horrible.
And I just, yeah, I mean, Josh and I are very much of the same opinion. We're like, what are you doing? Just, but clearly, like I say, it does work for some people. So
it's interesting because there's a whole thing I have that I think that, and this is me being logical, not emotional, right? Logical.
okay.
Emotional, logically, I go, sex is just sex, right? If it's without love and emotion, it's just a physical act, right? So if somebody goes off and has sex down an alley, oh God, what you're doing down an alley? What I know, I had to make it. Yeah, you know, down an alley, just has sex, comes home. Is it unfaithful? I don't know. Well, to me, yes, it is, right? I mean, also to be unfaithful is if somebody's having an emotional relationship.
If you're hiding messages, you're being unfaithful.
If one of my, and this is for another one, if somebody's messaging somebody, right, and telling them all of their secrets that they're not telling me, that's unfaithful to me.
Of course it is, because it's a relationship's all about, it's your physical and your emotional connection. So
I think that's a women's thing though, because if you ask most men, they'll say, well, actually, sex is just sex, and emotional bondage is what women do. Bondage, back into bondage, but unemotional things are what women do. But I don't know.
Right, Mr. G is in for a good night.
We're going to see a doggy.
Of the canine
That's
variety.
another thing, isn't it? Dogging.
No dogging.
At the same time.
In, like, you know, a bit of a dodgy area.
A few years ago, dogging was all over the news, and I had to actually look it up what it was. It was like crazy. Everybody was going, these dogging sites. I'm thinking, dogging? Why would anybody go want to watch people walk dogs? It was just like this.
Oh, you're so naive and so cute.
It's really odd. I can be like one of the. It's very, very strange. I know, but they're the lists from this website, Killing Kittens, which I'm sure there are others out there. I just went the first one that came up, so obviously very popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me. I have nothing against dressing up. I have a drawer of items. You know, that's fine. But I think it's like you were saying before, it's very much when you get comfortable in a relationship, that's when you start to look at, it's not spicing it up necessarily, but it's just like we're comfortable to explore other things.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, like certainly for me, I do have quite a lot of like body issues. And so I very much, I think for the first
You're gorgeous. Look at those shoulders.
the first 2 months of my relationship with Josh, I don't think I took my top off.
The joke is adventure for me is turning the light on. You know, that's the joke.
And he's very much a fan of lights on, and I'm just like, no, let's just turn that off, darling. Like, I love seeing it all. And
look, can I say also that thing? But psychologically, men are more visual, so they react more to stocking suspenders and stuff like this, right?
Okay.
Women are more a touchy, emotional thing. So, like, if you're in the dark, again, this is one of the study things, right? Like, if you're in the dark and men are snogging, very often than not, they'll go, "Can you turn the light on?" And we're going, "Oh, well, actually, I'm having quite a nice time now. Thank you very much." You know.
Yeah.
So they want to see all the curves and the whatever, and then which is back to the whole
There's
thing.
a lot of curves.
Right? No, nobody. I'm going to say this to you. We were talking about this earlier. I'm going to say this. No man ever goes, do you know what? This woman is so thin. I think she's so sexy. I can't wait to have her shoulder blades cutting into me. They all go, look at that woman in Playboy who's got the curves. I want her. That's what they say. So models are fine to look at. Men don't want to have sex with that. Not really.
Well, Josh always said to me that bones are for dogs and meat is for men. So he must be a serious man.
And women too. No. Oh God, I'm coming up with all the old horrible jokes now.
So let's move on. So how do we decide what is and isn't acceptable? So we talked about, and obviously, like, we've both got very subjective opinions, and I have nothing against people doing what they want to do. But for me, it's very much, it's okay if you're not doing it just to please someone else. So if it's a mutual thing and you're fully happy with the situation, nothing wrong with that. Do what you want, explore, have fun. But if you're feeling pressured into it, to me, that would be wrong.
That's a really good point. It is. I think there's definitely that, and the whole, we've got to try and not judge other people for doing. Something else has just come into my head that I've got to tell you about. So many different things. No.
Having supper soon, can you not?
What?
What supper soon?
But you're right. I think it is, you know. But there's some things that people who participate in some of the things which are harmful, they would say that that's normal to them, and it's really interesting because what we're saying is not comfortable, and what's comfortable actually to these people. And I'm talking about, I don't want to say the P word with children, but some people they think that it's normal in their head, psychologically normal in their head, and we would go, oh my God, it isn't. So we've got as a society, there's still a cutoff line.
There is still a moral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are laws in place for a reason,
Yeah.
you know, that like to do with age and various other things. But I think, you know, there are people that enjoy pain and think that is great, and obviously that's up to them. But I think there does come a point, because, you know, you do hear the stories about the people where it's gone too far, and, you know, they've suffocated before somebody has realised, and whatever else. And I think there does need to be an element of kind of care in there, so that, you know, because you hear like, all the films, all the books, everything else, it's the safe word is XYZ and whatever, but
stop now.
That's just me when Josh like makes an approach. You know, I think, as long as you're safe, I don't think it matters, as long as it's a mutual, consensual and safe. You do have a measure in place. If you want to take it that far, absolutely up to you, and it's no one's place to judge. But when there's lives on the line, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, there is all of that. I mean, that is the serious element of what we're talking about, isn't it? And I don't want to dwell on that bit. Can I just tell you one story?
Oh.
Well, I had this friend. This is actually true. It wasn't a friend. It was a girlfriend of mine, a very friend. Yeah, I'd like to say it was me.
Probably. I mean, Laura.
But she had this boyfriend who had a very, very tiny penis. Okay, and that's for another thing. Okay, but she'd been out with him for about a year, so she didn't mind too much. But what happened? What he liked to do, and I'm doing this. What he liked to do was.
That was an episode of Family Guy.
No,
it actually was.
And she told me, because at first I said, "Oh, don't be so stupid." She said, "No, he does." She says, "It's again." She was going, "It's quite nice to me because he wears a condom and it's like really quick." And I just go, well, she was happy with it, you know. That's the point.
How
they were
small was it?
I didn't, honestly, I couldn't. Well, yeah. After she told me this, I was in stitches, obviously. But again, that's an example of whatever they're happy with. You know.
Oh yeah, as I said, it's not going to do anyone any harm, really, is it? You know, provided it's not penetrating her eardrum or something.
You can imagine going, well, how did it? Well, I slipped.
It slipped onto a penis.
A lot of stories from nurses about that, aren't there? Where they in hospital.
There are. I mean, I have friends who are doctors. And have, obviously, when they're doing their training, they do A&E and everything else, because you have to do like your full kind of circuit, don't you, the different departments and whatever. And I have heard stories of, you know, plastic toys, as in like soldiers.
Oh, that's spiky.
I know. And an Action Man is quite a common thing. I think he's got such a rounded head.
What is the shoulders? Did you get the shoulders in there?
I don't want to think about that. And incidents involving hoovers are apparently really common, but like specifically like Henry hoovers, where it's very much a detachable.
In or out? Which one?
It's sucking in, isn't it? It's sucking it in. So I guess it is sucking.
Oh God!
With a lot of power. Which to me, you know, no. But hey, people are clearly experimenting.
How? I mean, I can't physically see how that would be again. Well,
apparently, one of the top stories is, you know, I just got out the shower and decided to hoover quickly. To which one of my friends replied to me, "Yes, but where did the lube come from?" Yeah, you could quite feasibly be doing a bit of naked hoovering, maybe trip or whatever. But how do you explain all the lube?
Oh, that is just. I mean, you see that on a lot of like ER and things like that. You used to see that sort of joke, didn't you? And it's sad that we laugh about it, though, isn't it? Because there's someone somewhere is going, oh, I don't really like doing that. You know, would you not like people to sort of comment at the bottom and tell us what they're up to, in in a nice.
I'm probably never going to do that because that's giving too much away. But I'd be quite fascinated to read that.
I would, in a nice way. We're not going to judge them. We'll have a laugh, but then we have a laugh at ourselves. So
We have a little chat about anything that's shared with the group.
Any doctors out there, any hospital, any NHS people, hello, send us all messages, stories about what
Well, they're definitely not busy enough right now, with COVID.
Guys,
But hey, I am one of those bad mums that did not send my children back to school because I didn't think it was safe enough.
Have they all gone back then?
Both of my girls are in the years that have year 1, year 6. So should technically have both gone back on the 1st of June. For me, I was very much like, I don't think it's safe enough. Equally, I'd just like to point out, I have also not been one of those people that has been hanging out on beaches and other beauty spots. I have very much stayed at home, with the exception of going to get food from the shop.
And I also, for people who may say something, because somebody would go, right, you have also got, but you have also got a health thing in your house, so it's not like, so letting your kids go back to school is very much a judgment call on your part. Yeah, it's a judgment call on your part, which you have to feel from day to day, don't you? So that's, people have to be
all good fun. And we're all dealing with homeschooling, which is endlessly entertaining. I never realised how thick I was until I started looking at year 6 maths. Honestly, I've done GCSE. I got an A star at GCSE in maths. Looking at Ruby's homework, I was like, I don't even know where to start with that. Like, what is that?
Alexa now knows the answers to every math problem in the whole of the curriculum. Alexa, yes, we've got it.
I was just like,
oh my God.
Yeah, so I guess we're probably kind of drawing to a close.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got lots more things I want to tell you, but I'll tell you those off camera, I think.
I was going to say, we'll actually get kicked off YouTube.
Yeah,
but so next week we've got a really exciting one, which we've touched on before, and we will be talking about the age difference in relationships, both ways, and obviously whether that matters and what difference it makes. And I'm quite excited for this one because I think both of us have experienced both sides of it. So
I tend to just draw on the stuff that we both know something about, like, or find amusing, which is quite good, isn't it? And fortunately, we both have similar sort of experiences in different kinds of areas.
I don't know where we get on so well.
Could it also be the gin, though? I've told you, it's probably the gin and the wine.
Yeah.
Could be. Cheers, by the way. Cheers.
Yeah. And with that, we will bid you adieu. See you later.
Please subscribe. Love you. Bye.
3 and Peachy.